We are reading in Otzar, Pelaot HaTorah here at shul.com on the Surfside Kollel Boker. And the question is, where should you sit in a shul? Should you sit on the right side of the Hechal, on the left side of the Hechal? What if somebody takes your chair? What should be your feeling and opinion? Let's say you bought a chair. Brand new shul was built. They asked for a ridiculous amount for the chair. You paid for it. You never got the plaque. Everyone sits in your chair. What's the opinion of the Hachamim? Okay, so we'll address these two questions. Besefer Hasidim, Siman Tav Shin Samech. Ita Mimino Esh Dat Lamo. That's Burden Devarim Lamed Gimel Dash Bet Melamed Shesarich Lesadikim Mekayimim HaTorah Leshev Mimin HaNechbad. So Ubiyamin HaTorah Shneimar Orich Hamim Bimina Bismola Aoshir Vekavod Vechen Beyamin HaAron. So if you're going to choose a spot, you should choose the right side of the Aron when you are looking at the Aron. Like it says in the Pasuk, Orech Hamim Bimina, long days is on the right, and on the left, Ashir V'Kavod, wealth and honor. Ubepri Megadim, Orach Hayim Siman Sadi Daled, He'etik, Divrei Sefer Hasidim, he copied over the text of the Sefer Hasidim, V'ayen Beshut Baal HaChochma, and Siman Tetvav Ot Bet Shekatav Nid'e Ki Ze Sefer Hasidim Hanal Hamekor Beze Tam Sharabanim Hamitnahagim Al Pi Darchei Hasidut Kov'im Mekon Yeshivatam Bebet HaKnesset B'Yamin HaAron Sheyitzad Daron B'Europe Arzot Europa ובכל המקומות שמתפללים לצד מזרח וארון הקודש קבוע בכותל מזרחי כמובן. So he says that the rabbis would sit on the south side, because you had on east the Hechal, and then right on the right side of it would be the south side. That's where the rabbi would sit. Okay. Lo mekomo shel adam mechabedo. The place of a person is not what honors him. Omnam mesayim besefer Hasidim. The Sefer Hasidim tells us, aval ba'avur shalom, and for the name of, and the sake of peace, lo yeshum sadik makpid ana yashev. A righteous man, a Sadiq, should never be makpid where he sits. Kilo mekomo shel adam mechabedo, because it's not the place of a person where he sits that grants him his honor. Ve'im mesimim oto lemata, and if they put him on the bottom, ve'acharim she'enam tovim kamo lemala memenu ad yakpid, and they put people that are not as good as him in front of him, don't be makpid. There's a reason for that. God knows the reason. So he says here, it's important to know that. And the hakpid im yoshev pa'amim bezavitzo pa'amim bezavitzo. Let's say a person sits in different places in the shul all the time. He doesn't have a set spot. Ve'yesh l'tzayin ledvarav hanifleim shel Rabbeinu Yonah. Beresh masechet berachot daf gimel amud bet. Kol hakovea makom litfilato Elohei Avraham yeh be'ezro. So he says, if a person has a set place for his tefillah, the God of Abraham comes to him. Lo amar ze bimkomot shel bet haKnesset. Tekevan shekula makom tefillah. He wasn't referring to like the seat that it says if a person prays or is in that exact spot that God comes to him. They were talking to the place of tefillah, which is the entire synagogue, the shul, or the grounds of the shul. Tekevan shekula makom tefillah. And the hakpidim yoshev pa'amim bezavitzo pa'amim bezo. Don't worry if you're sitting in different places in the shul. You're still going to have be mikayim that pasuk of Elohei Avram be'ezro. Ela ratzad lomar shekobeh makom tfilato beveto. That over there was talking about if a person is praying at home, beyachid, or even let's say with the minyan shepa'amim she'eno yachol ladechet lebet haknesset mitpalel bebeto miyached makom yadua lekach. So have one place in your house that is your set place, that you're comfortable to pray, that you can have the most kavanah. V'yesh makshim v'chim mipenei ze bilvad mesaprim achar mitato shevach gadol kazeh. He says what? So if a guy decided to pray in one place, they tell him he's a oy anav, oy sadiq, that he's a great guy for just praying in one place. Why? V'alo Shmuel hakatan din hirin le shvilin dishmaya kishvilet nahar da'at. It says on Shmuel that hakatan. Interesting that whenever it says hakatan on one of the rabbis in the Gemara, like Hillel Katan, Shmuel Katan, it means they were experts in astrology. Why Katan? Because in Ma'ora Gadol, Ma'ora Katon is the moon, and whoever understands things of astrology, which is the greatest of the great, they call them the Katan. It's like almost a play on the words. They call him Katan, but in essence he was a Gadol in the Gedolim, in the things that were the farthest and the biggest in the galaxies and in the universe. and he knew the heavens like he knew the roads of Nehar De'ah. They said on Shemuel HaKatan that the Shekhinah could be on him like Moshe, but his generation wasn't worthy. Amru ze alav לשבח גדול והאח אמרו בכאן שאומרים אותו על כל אדם שקובע מקום מיוחד בביתו להתפלל. And they say this also on anyone who has a set place to pray in his house. They were not talking about just the physical space alone. He's so careful in his tefillah that even with this he's careful that his prayers in a unique place. He loves to pray so much. He's definitely a humble person. For sure his tefillah is going to be answered because he had extra humbleness. He ends up becoming a chasid from being humble. One leads to the other. Like it says in Daf Chaf Amud Bet, that being humble brings you to being to having hasidut. Now this hasidut here, this is pertinent to anyone, any Jew. It doesn't necessarily have to be for Sfaradim or Ashkenazim or Hasidim. It's calling midat hasidut, not being hasidic. נמצא שבעבור דקדוק התפילה זוכה לאלו המעלות ואמרו אותם עליו כשנפטר מן העולם מפי מורי הרב נרו עד כאן שלו רבנו יונה. Very interesting point about chairs, about praying. An interesting point that Rabbi Mansour brought up on Kollel Kovei Makom Tfilato Elohei Avram Be'ezro. Why does the God of Abraham come to him? It says a few things. One, that the person who doesn't get answered the first time, he might go to a new place because what he's really doing, he's saying that it wasn't me that's the problem, it was the place. So by changing places, he thinks that he did it perfectly in the first place, so he goes and changes his place. But when a person stays in the same place, he says, if I wasn't answered, it must have been me. And he keeps on working on himself in the same exact place. The second issue, he says, why does he need a person that's anav if he stays and he has one place to pray? Because it's normal that when a person is going to be in a place, in a community for a long time, he's going to be slighted. There's going to be things that he wants that he's not going to get, things that are going to happen that he's not going to want, and he's going to have to be, in some form, a team player. By doing that, he has to be anav. That doesn't mean that a person should limit himself from doing things, bekedusha, or for the Torah and the mitzvot or hesed, because he's being limited. What it means in the sense that if he feels, if he's in the same place and he feels he's leaving because he's being slighted for honor, he has to reassess that. That's the real purpose, and that he's an anav like Abraham Avinu, in the sense that normal life will be life and people will be people and things are going to happen. So any assumption that it's going to be perfect any place is silly. So the way to solve it is by continuing going back to the same place, even if it's not perfect, and having it worked out. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.